The camera drifts through darkness, gliding past stars that shimmer like silent witnesses to forgotten time. Then, deep beneath the surface of the planet Centauri Prime, light begins to glow. The great library awakens. Miles of crystal corridors stretch in every direction, glowing shelves filled with the knowledge of 10,000 years. Every surface shines with soft blue light, reflections moving like water through the air. It is not just a library, it is the memory of the galaxy itself. In the quiet halls, a single figure moves. Archivist Kellen, a tall, silver-furred Althari, walks between the rows. 6 delicate arms glide over crystal tablets, adjusting, sorting, restoring. Her movements are precise, almost graceful, like a creature born for this silence. For centuries, Kellen has cared for this place. She has read stories of lost empires, dead worlds, and extinct species, all gone long before her time. But today something calls to her. One of the oldest chambers hums faintly, a low sound almost like a heartbeat. Kellen tilts her head. "Strange," she whispers. "This section hasn't been active in centuries." She steps closer. Dust floats in the air like frozen stars. Rows upon rows of untouched data crystals line the walls, each marked with symbols that most scholars no longer recognize. Then she sees it, a small, cracked crystal resting on a forgotten shelf. Its label glows weakly, Sol System, Extinct Species Report. Kellen hesitates. The file's code suggests it was archived over 3,000 years ago, by explorers long since gone. She gently lifts the crystal and places it into a reader. A soft hum fills the room as the data awakens. A holographic screen flickers to life before her, lines of old text, shaky and incomplete. She begins to read aloud. Species designation, human. Planet of origin, third planet from star-designated Sol. Status, extinct. Cause of extinction, self-inflicted warfare. Her brow furrows. Self-inflicted, she murmurs. The report continues. Notable traits, highly aggressive. Extremely adaptable. Capable of survival in hostile environments. Creative problem solvers. Dangerous when threatened. Kellen scrolls deeper. Her eyes widen. Observed behavior. Violence between own kind. Wars lasting decades. Ability to fight even when severely injured. Instances recorded of continued combat despite mortal wounds. She steps back, uneasy. Monsters, she whispers. But something about the word feels wrong. She continues reading. The final paragraph sends a chill through her. Recommendation: avoid all contact with the Sol system. If any members of this species survive their wars, they would represent a significant threat to galactic peace. The holographic light flickers. For a moment, the entire library seems to tremble. Faint vibrations echo through the crystal floor. A few lights blink out, then slowly return. Kellen freezes. She looks around. The great library has never done that before. She whispers to herself, "It's just an old file. Nothing more." But her voice doesn't sound convinced. Still, curiosity wins. She begins to open related files. Field reports, images, sound logs. The hologram shifts. A blurred recording appears. A world of blue oceans and green forests, clouds swirling above continents. Then explosions. Mushroom-shaped clouds rise into the sky, spreading fire across cities. Kellen's hands tremble. They destroyed their own world. She tries to stop the playback, but the image keeps going. The planet burns. Millions of lights go out, one after another. The screen goes black. Then a final message appears, written by the original explorers. Sol system declared forbidden. The humans are gone. Let no one return. Silence fills the chamber. Only the soft hum of ancient machinery remains. Kellen removes the crystal and places it back on the shelf, carefully, almost respectfully. "Extinct or not," she whispers, "you were remarkable." She turns to leave. But as she walks away, a faint pulse of light travels through the shelves, one by one, like a signal passing between the crystals. The faint hum grows stronger. Kellen doesn't notice. By the time she exits the chamber, the light fades again. The camera lingers on the glowing crystal. Sol system, extinct species report. A faint sound echoes from within the file, a distorted human voice broken by static. "We are not gone." The crystal's light goes out. Silence returns. And then the narration shifts. Far away in the cold black of space, war drums echo. Massive warships glide over a burning planet. Laser fire paints the sky red. A commanding voice breaks the silence. Admiral Zakhtar, the conquest is complete. Another voice answers, calm, confident, merciless. Good. Prepare the fleet for the next system. The camera moves past the battle, deeper into space. The narrator's voice grows quiet, almost a whisper. 3 sectors away, a new war was already beginning. Some legends were better left forgotten. The screen fades to black. The scene opens with the faint sound of thunder, not from clouds but from orbital bombardment. Flashes of red light cut through a smoky sky. The camera pans across a dying world, Riel 7, its cities burning, its oceans boiling under fire. Alien ships hang above the planet like dark gods. Each blast from their cannons lights up the surface below. The voice of the narrator speaks softly. The galaxy had forgotten humanity, but it had not forgotten war. High above the planet, inside a massive battleship known as the Dominator, the commander watches silently. Admiral Zakhtar of the Hegemony fleet stands tall at the viewing deck. His armor gleams black and red, the color of conquest. Behind him, officers move with military precision, not daring to speak unless spoken to. Through the vast viewport, Zakhtar sees entire continents burning. His golden eyes narrow with satisfaction. Another victory, he mutters. Another world bent to our will. For 50 years, the Hegemony has waged war across the stars. Once part of the peaceful Galactic Federation, they broke away, claiming the weak did not deserve power. Now, system after system falls to their might. No one dares to challenge them. Admiral, a voice calls out. Zakhtar turns. It is Vex, his science officer, a tall creature with tentacle-like limbs and pale, glassy skin that reflects the lights of the control room. Vex bows slightly. We have completed our analysis of the Federation archive data, recovered from the capital of Riel 7. Zakhtar's tone is sharp. Anything useful? Mostly historical records, Vex replies, his voice bubbling faintly. Cultural data, planetary maps, standard nonsense. But, one of his tentacles curls with amusement, there is one file you might find entertaining. Zakhtar raises an eyebrow. Entertaining? Vex brings up a holographic screen. A single file glows on display, old, cracked, and nearly unreadable. The title appears in faded letters. Species Report, Humans. Zakhtar frowns. Never heard of them. Vex lets out a sound like a laugh. Nor had I, Admiral. Apparently they lived in a small system called Sol. But the record states they destroyed themselves 3,000 years ago. He scrolls through the report, reading sections aloud, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Highly aggressive. Highly adaptable. Physically resilient. Capable of fighting even when severely wounded. He pauses to let out another bubbling chuckle. A primitive warrior species, but all gone now. Some bridge officers laugh quietly. The idea of dangerous primitive creatures was amusing to them. Zakhtar does not laugh. He watches the screen with quiet interest. Chemical weapons, Vex continues. Projectile-based warfare. And what they called nuclear weapons, crude but devastating. They used them against their own cities. The bridge grows quiet for a moment. Zakhtar finally speaks. They destroyed their own world? Apparently yes, Vex answers. The original explorers found their planet covered in radiation scars. Entire civilizations wiped out, by their own hands. The Admiral leans closer to the display. His face reflects the pale light of the hologram. For a long moment he says nothing. Then, fascinating. Vex tilts his head. Fascinating? Admiral, they're long dead. What is fascinating about extinct savages? Zakhtar's eyes narrow. Because, he says slowly, a species that would destroy itself might destroy anything. Even the gods they once prayed to. The bridge goes silent again. Even the hum of the engines feels quieter. Vex breaks the silence with a nervous laugh. A fine thought, Admiral. But irrelevant. Dead worlds tell no tales. Zakhtar turns away from the screen, walking back toward the viewport. Outside, the fires of Riel 7 still rage, entire cities swallowed by flame. He watches for a moment, then says, maybe. But I find myself wondering if creatures like that could ever truly die. Vex looks puzzled. Sir? Zakhtar doesn't answer. His gaze remains fixed on the burning planet below. Later, in his private chamber, Zakhtar reviews the human file again. Alone, the laughter of the bridge seems distant now. He scrolls through old photos and ancient text fragments, grainy images of human soldiers, cities, and war machines. He reads lines from the report again. Unusually creative problem-solving abilities. Dangerous in unpredictable ways. Avoid contact at all costs. He sits back in silence. There's something in those words that feels alive. Zaktar turns off the display. The room goes dark, except for the stars outside his window. 3,000 years, he whispers. If you survived, what would you have become? Back on the bridge, Vex and his assistants continue to process captured Federation data. Suddenly, one of the consoles flickers. A low alarm tone begins to pulse, faint but steady. Science officer, a crew member says, I've found an encrypted fragment hidden within the human report. It seems to be a signal. Vex looks annoyed. A signal? From a file 3 millennia old? Impossible. But the console keeps beeping. The frequency repeats in a rhythmic pattern, almost like a heartbeat. Vex leans closer. That's not random noise. The crew member nods slowly. It's transmitting from a star system. Vex's eyes widen. From where? The officer hesitates before speaking. Coordinates match, the Sol system. Far above, Zaktar's chamber door opens. Vex enters quickly, his voice uneasy for the first time. Admiral, he says, we've detected something strange. A signal from the extinct system, the one mentioned in the human report. Zaktar turns to face him. His expression is unreadable. Impossible. We confirmed it twice, Vex says. It's weak but real. Some kind of automatic beacon, still active after all this time. Zaktar's scaled mouth curls into something close to a smile. Send a scout ship, he orders quietly. Let's see what ghosts look like. The camera zooms out through the ship's window, showing the burning planet below and beyond it the endless stars. The narrator's voice returns, calm and chilling. They laughed at the dead. But sometimes, the dead laugh last. The Dominator turns slowly, engines glowing bright red as it heads toward the stars, toward the Sol system. The legend is no longer forgotten. Darkness filled the void between stars. Only the faint hum of the hegemony scout ship, Vanguard, broke the silence. It drifted through the cold emptiness, heading toward a region no one had entered in 3,000 years, the Sol system. Inside the ship, the crew worked quietly. No laughter. No chatter. Even the hum of the engines seemed nervous. Commander Reth, a lean insectoid officer, checked the coordinates for the 100th time. He didn't like this mission. Nobody did. The order had come directly from Admiral Zaktar. Investigate the ancient system, locate the source of the strange beacon and report findings. Simple. But everyone on board felt it, a quiet, heavy tension in their bones. The Sol system was supposed to be dead. Yet something out there was calling. Approaching the outer edge of the system, said the navigator, his voice trembling slightly. On the main screen, the distant sun appeared, dim, orange and cold. Ref stared at it. 3,000 years, and still burning, he said softly. The sensors picked up the first planets, lifeless rocks and frozen worlds. Then came a massive gas giant with shattered moons orbiting around it. Debris fields glittered like glass in the darkness. What happened here? One of the engineers whispered. Wars, Reth replied. Long before our time. Hours passed. The beacon signal grew stronger. It pulsed at regular intervals, one beat every 10 seconds. Thump, thump, thump. It was faint, mechanical, but somehow it sounded alive. Signal origin confirmed, said the navigator. Third planet from the star. Reth's eyes narrowed. The third planet, he repeated. The file from the archive echoed in his memory, planet of origin. Third planet from star designated Sol. He turned to the comms officer. Send a probe ahead. I want a full scan before we enter orbit. The small probe launched into the void, its engines flaring blue. Minutes later, its camera feed appeared on screen. Everyone leaned forward. The probe's view revealed a dark world. Thick clouds covered the surface, hiding the land below. Radiation readings spiked across the display. Surface heavily scarred, the science officer said. Multiple craters, collapsed structures, all consistent with nuclear bombardment. The camera passed over what looked like the ruins of cities, silent graveyards of metal and stone. The oceans were gray and still. No movement. No signs of life. Reth exhaled. So it's true. They really destroyed themselves. But then, the signal changed. The steady heartbeat became faster. 2 beats, then 3, then 4. Thump thump, thump thump. The navigator frowned. Admiral, the frequency is shifting. It's reacting to our presence. Reacting? Reth repeated. It's an automated beacon, not a mind. Maybe not, said the science officer. but something down there just noticed us. A faint whisper came through the comms, static, broken, but unmistakably structured. Human. Defense. Network active. The bridge froze. No one moved. Repeat that, Reth said. The comms officer tried to clean the signal. Static hissed through the speakers. Then again the voice came through, distorted and metallic. Earth. Defense. Network. Active. Reth stared at the screen. His antennae twitched. That's impossible. The science officer swallowed hard. Admiral, that system's been dead for millennia. Nothing biological could survive. This must be an automated recording. But the signal wasn't looping like a recording. It was live, changing, adapting, analyzing their ship. Back on the Dominator, Admiral Zakhtar received the transmission. He listened silently as Reth's voice came through, nervous but steady. Admiral, we've located the beacon. It's active, repeating something about a defense network. Request permission to continue investigation. Zakhtar leaned back in his chair, a slow smile spreading across his face. Proceed, he said. Let's see how long ghosts can talk. The Vanguard descended through the thick clouds. Lightning flashed across the dark sky. For a moment the crew saw the surface, vast ruins stretching for miles, broken towers half buried in ash. Radiation detectors screamed warnings. Levels are off the scale, shouted the engineer. We can't stay long. Keep the ship steady, Reth ordered. We just need visual confirmation. The ship passed over a wide plain where the ground was scorched black. In the middle stood something enormous, a metal tower rising from the ash, half collapsed, yet still glowing faintly. That's the source, said the navigator. The beacon's coming from inside that structure. The tower looked ancient, but alive. Energy lines pulsed faintly across its surface. Suddenly the static returned. Louder this time. Unauthorized, entry detected. Defense systems, activating. Reth's eyes went wide. Defense systems? The comms officer screamed, Admiral. Power surged beneath the surface, something's waking up. Outside the ground trembled. Dust and smoke rose in swirling waves as something massive moved beneath the ruins. The tower split open, light pouring from within. Retreat. Reth shouted. Get us out of here. But it was too late. From the earth below, a giant metal shape began to rise, wings of steel unfolding, eyes burning with blue light. A warship. Ancient, scarred but still alive. The first human battleship lifted itself from the ashes of Earth. Contact. Contact, yelled the weapons officer. Unknown vessel targeting us. Evade. Reth screamed. A beam of pure energy shot upward, slicing through the Vanguard's shields like paper. The ship spun out of control. Sparks flew, alarms blared. Through the smoke and chaos, Reth looked at the viewscreen one last time. The massive ship hovered in the sky, old yet perfect, the words still visible on its hull. UNS Valiant. The old human war emblem gleamed in the lightning. The transmission went dead. Back aboard the Dominator, silence filled the bridge. Only the hum of the ship remained. Vex turned to Zakhtar, his face pale. Admiral, we lost contact with the scout team. Zakhtar's golden eyes glowed faintly. Play the last transmission. The bridge speakers crackled, replaying the static. Then, faint but clear, a human voice whispered through the noise. This territory is under Earth Defense Command. Leave now. Everyone on the bridge froze. Zakhtar's expression didn't change, but his voice dropped low. Prepare the fleet. He looked out the viewport toward the direction of the Sol system. Let's see what else your ghosts have left behind. The narrator's voice returns as the camera fades to black. The dead world spoke again, and the galaxy would never be the same. Far above the dead Earth, the hegemony flagship Dominator entered orbit. Its engines hummed with quiet menace as fleets of warships surrounded the gray planet like vultures. Each ship scanned the ruins below, silent cities, shattered continents, oceans turned to dust. Planetary life readings, 0, the science officer said. No biosigns, no vegetation, no atmosphere capable of sustaining life. Admiral Zakhtar stood at the viewing platform, his golden eyes fixed on the world below. No life, he repeated softly, yet something killed one of our best ships. Silence filled the bridge. No one dared to speak. Finally Zakhtar turned. Deploy ground drones. I want that signal located and dismantled. Thousands of drones descended into the gray storm clouds, streaking through the burning sky like falling stars. As they entered the ruins, their sensors began to glitch. Static. Flickers of movement that weren't there. whispers of sound that didn't exist. On the surface, the drones landed among the ruins of a massive city. Broken towers leaned like bones of dead giants. Ash fell like snow. One drone transmitted video, black towers, metal husks, shattered machines. Another scanned deeper, through collapsed tunnels, until it reached a sealed door covered in dust and time. Letters were carved into the metal, half buried, almost erased. The translation system struggled to decode them. UNSC Command Vault 01. The drone activated its plasma cutter and began slicing the door open. The moment the seal broke, a faint blue light glowed inside. In the darkness of the vault, something awoke. A single line of code pulsed through the core systems, like a heartbeat restarting after death. System boot sequence initiated. Project, Arius. Status rebooting. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, in a forgotten bunker of steel and stone, ancient machines powered on. The lights that had been dark for 3 millennia flickered to life. Mechanical arms unfolded. Servers hummed. And a single voice, metallic, calm, and utterly human, spoke for the first time in 3,000 years. Command AI Ares, online. High above, aboard the Dominator, the communications officer looked up in confusion. Admiral, we're detecting multiple power signatures from the surface. Old human tech, coming online. Zaktar frowned. How old? The officer hesitated. Pre-Federation. Possibly from the human war era. Before Zaktar could respond, another signal appeared. A massive energy spike from beneath the planet's crust. Sir, it's charging something, a network of satellites. Zaktar's golden eyes widened. Satellites? There are no. The main screen exploded into light. Thousands of metallic shapes blinked into existence above Earth. Old orbital defense platforms, hidden in the planet's shadow, rising like ghosts. They rotated slowly. Targeting systems warmed up. And then, a voice filled every frequency across the fleet. This territory belongs to Earth Defense Command. You are trespassing. The voice was calm, emotionless, yet powerful. Every species who heard it felt the same thing, a shiver of instinctual fear. Return fire. Zaktar ordered. The Dominator's cannons lit the sky, firing plasma into the clouds. But the human defense grid was faster. Blue beams lanced through the darkness, cutting through ships as if they were paper. Whole fleets vanished in seconds. The bridge shook violently. Shields at 30%. Someone screamed. We're losing the right flank. Zaktar roared, evasive maneuvers. Full retreat. But the old human network wasn't letting them go. Above the planet, thousands of dormant satellites connected, forming a single unified defense matrix. Energy lines glowed across their surfaces, a symbol long forgotten appearing once more. Earth Defense Command. In the vault below, the AI's voice continued to speak. It was calm, precise, and merciless. Analyzing threat level. Galactic intrusion detected. Activating automated countermeasure protocol. Metal doors opened across the planet. Buried bunkers, sealed for ages, unlocked. Machines moved within, drones of old human design, their eyes glowing red as they reactivated. Mechanical footsteps echoed through ancient tunnels. Deploying Guardian units. Back on the Dominator, chaos filled the air. Reports poured in, half the fleet destroyed, others trapped in orbit, engines failing. Zaktar gritted his teeth. This isn't possible, he growled. They're extinct. The science officer looked pale. Sir, maybe not all of them. Zaktar turned sharply. Explain. Some of the signals we're detecting, they're not AI. They're biological. Zaktar froze. Biological? The officer nodded slowly. Faint readings, deep underground. Minimal activity but definitely life. For the first time Zaktar looked unsure. Impossible, he whispered. Nothing could survive that long. Then over the comms, a faint sound came through, a voice. Human. Soft, tired but alive. Ares, this is Commander Hale, request surface clearance. The bridge went silent. Every eye turned to the Admiral. Commander? Zaktar repeated. Did he say, Commander? The transmission repeated, stronger this time. This is Commander Jacob Hale, Earth Defense Command. To any vessel in orbit, you are in violation of Sol System space. Withdraw immediately or we will consider you hostile. Zaktar's claws trembled. He had read the old reports, humans were gone. Their war had ended in fire. But the voice in his ears was alive, real. Trace that signal, he ordered quietly. The comms officer shook his head. Can't, sir. The source is moving, beneath the surface. Beneath the surface. Zaktar turned back toward the planet, his reflection glowing in the orange light of Earth's dying sun. What have we awakened? He whispered. Below, in the heart of the planet, Commander Hale opened his eyes. The cryo chamber hissed open with a burst of steam. Dozens of others around him began to stir, human soldiers, preserved in stasis for centuries. Blue lights glowed above them. The AI's voice echoed softly. Welcome back, Commander. The war is not over. Hale stepped forward, his boots echoing against metal floors. He stared at the holographic map before him, the solar system surrounded by red markers. He smiled faintly. Let's remind them why they feared us. As the camera pulled back, Earth glowed once more, its defense systems awakening, ancient ships rising from ash in orbit. The narrator's voice returned, low and chilling. 3,000 years of silence, broken by a single human heartbeat. And across the stars, every empire felt it, the dead had returned. The cryo chambers hissed one after another, releasing cold mist that rolled across the metal floors. Human soldiers stepped out, coughing, blinking at the bright blue lights that filled the underground command vault. Their armor was ancient, scratched and worn, but still functional. Each suit bore the same insignia, a blue circle with a single word at the center, Earth. Commander Jacob Hale stood at the front, his breath visible in the cold air. His face was pale, marked with the quiet determination of someone who had seen the end, and refused to die with it. Ares, he said, voice hoarse. Status report. The AI's voice echoed through the chamber, calm, mechanical, yet strangely alive. Commander Hale, planetary defense systems are at 43% operational capacity. Hegemony fleet detected in orbit. Enemy numbers, 217 ships. Current threat level, severe. Hale looked around. Hundreds of his people were waking, engineers, pilots, marines, all blinking against the light, their memories fragmented. They had been asleep for 3,000 years. Yet their purpose remained the same. Can we launch? He asked. Affirmative. Subterranean hangar bays are sealed but intact. Fleet status, 62 vessels prepared for atmospheric ascent. Hale exhaled slowly. Then it's time. High above, Admiral Zaktar stood on the bridge of the Dominator. The once proud flagship now drifted amid wreckage, hegemony vessels burning in orbit, torn apart by the sudden reactivation of Earth's defense network. Status, he barked. Half our fleet destroyed, Admiral. The rest scattered. Communication interference is worsening, their satellites are jamming us. Zaktar slammed a clawed fist onto the console. We came here to conquer ruins, not ghosts. A sensor officer looked up suddenly. Sir. Something's rising from the planet's surface. The Admiral turned sharply toward the viewport. From the gray clouds below, ships began to emerge, black, massive, and terrifyingly silent. They were shaped like predators, sharp-edged and angular, moving with impossible speed. Ancient human warships, reawakening from their long sleep. Each one bore a faded emblem, the same word glowing faintly across their hulls, UNSC. The bridge fell silent. These are, human ships? Zaktar whispered. Yes, sir. Energy readings confirm human design, but power levels are far beyond anything recorded. Down below, Commander Hale walked through the hangar, past rows of war machines, fighters, tanks, dropships. Soldiers saluted him as they prepared for launch. He stopped beside a massive black battleship, its nameplate rusted but still readable, Vigilant Dawn. He placed a hand on the cold metal hull. This ship ended the Orion War, he murmured. And now she'll start another. Ares appeared beside him in holographic form, a blue figure, face made of light and code. Commander, orbital scans confirm the hegemony fleet is preparing for bombardment. Hale nodded. Let them come. He climbed the ramp, entering the command deck. The ship's ancient systems hummed to life around him, blue lights flickering on, displays glowing after centuries of sleep. Crew status. 70% active. AI assistance compensating for the rest. Good. Patch me into the fleet. Across orbit, human ships began to align. One by one, ancient reactors came online, glowing like the hearts of sleeping giants reborn. Their formation spread across Earth's orbit, precise, disciplined, silent. Commander Hale's voice echoed through every channel. This is Commander Jacob Hale of the Earth Defense Command. 3,000 years ago, humanity fell. We fought our last war and vanished into ash. But now, we're awake again. He paused, his voice growing colder. To the invaders above us, You stand where our ancestors died. You desecrate our home. Leave orbit now, or share their fate. Admiral Zakhtar bared his teeth. Fire everything we have. The Dominator unleashed a barrage of plasma fire, joined by what remained of the hegemony fleet. Hundreds of bolts of energy screamed toward the rising human ships. But the vigilant Dawn moved first. Blue shields flared to life, absorbing the barrage. Then, with surgical precision, it fired back. A single railgun shot tore through 3 hegemony cruisers in one hit. Another burst followed, obliterating an entire formation in seconds. Zakhtar's bridge trembled violently as the explosion shockwaves hit. "Impossible," he shouted. "Those weapons are ancient." But human technology, forged in desperation and perfected by extinction, was built to outlast time itself. The human fleet advanced, coordinated, relentless, unstoppable. For every hegemony ship that tried to run, 3 fell behind it. Ares spoke calmly in Hale's ear. Enemy formation collapsing. Remaining vessels attempting retreat. Hale's eyes narrowed. "They came to our graveyard. No one leaves." He gave the order. Dozens of human warships accelerated, bright trails cutting across the stars like burning comets. They struck fast, silent, and precise. Within minutes, the orbit of Earth was filled with wreckage. The once mighty hegemony fleet now nothing more than twisted metal. Aboard the Dominator, alarms screamed. The ship was burning, systems failing. Zakhtar stumbled toward the viewport, watching in disbelief as the planet below shimmered with blue light. Earth was alive again. "What are they?" he whispered. "How can something extinct fight like gods?" A transmission came through, full of static and dread. Commander Hale's face appeared on the screen, human, scarred, and cold. "We were legends to you once," Hale said quietly. "But legends don't die. They wait." And then the screen went black. Moments later, a beam of energy from the vigilant Dawn struck the Dominator, cutting it in half. The flagship of the hegemony vanished in a burst of light. Silence returned to orbit. Only the wreckage of alien ships remained, drifting like ghosts around a world that refused to die. In the command vault below, Ares monitored the outcome. Enemy fleet eliminated. Planetary defense restored. Awaiting further orders. Hale stood quietly, looking at the holographic projection of the stars. He knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had forgotten humanity. But now, every species would remember. "Transmit this message," he said. "To all open channels. To every world that can hear me, humanity has returned." The narrator's voice fades in, slow and heavy. From the ashes of their own extinction, they rose again. The myths had become real, and the galaxy would never sleep peacefully again. Across the silent void, a single transmission moved faster than light. It passed through dead satellites, broken relay stations, and forgotten colonies, spreading like wildfire across every communication network in the galaxy. At first no one believed it. It was just a voice, quiet, calm, human. "This is Commander Jacob Hale of Earth Defense Command. Humanity has returned. We claim no worlds, no thrones, no empires. Only what was once ours." The message repeated, echoing through the stars. "To those who invade our home, we do not forgive. We do not forget. And we do not fall again." Then the transmission ended. The galaxy would never be the same. The reaction begins. On Centauri Prime, the great library trembled as hundreds of scholars and officials gathered around glowing screens. Archivist Kellen, who once dismissed the human file as a forgotten myth, stared in disbelief at the holographic feed. On the display she saw the impossible footage of alien wreckage orbiting a blue-gray planet, and human warships rising from the atmosphere like ancient gods reborn. The same word appeared again and again across the wreckage. "Earth," Kellen whispered softly, "they were real." Her 6 fingers trembled as she touched the old crystal file, the same one she had opened days before. The warning still glowed faintly in its light. If they survived, they would be a threat to galactic peace. Kellen finally understood. It wasn't a warning. It was prophecy. Federation High Command. Far across the stars, in the shining towers of the Galactic Federation, the Council gathered in emergency session. Dozens of alien ambassadors filled the crystal chamber, voices overlapping in fear. "The signal is confirmed," one shouted. "Human forces destroyed the entire hegemony invasion fleet in less than 1 hour." "They can't exist," another snapped. "Humans wiped themselves out millennia ago." A calm voice broke through the chaos. Elder Vox, the oldest among them. 3,000 years ago, explorers feared them," he said slowly. Now, we remember why. Silence fell. The council leader asked, "Do we contact them? Offer peace." Vox's expression darkened. Peace? No. You don't offer peace to a storm. You pray it passes you by. The hegemony's ruins. In the outer sectors, remnants of the hegemony fleet limped back to their nearest stronghold. Ships burned, engines failed, crews whispered rumors that chilled their blood. Humans, they were waiting, one officer murmured. The new hegemon, a tall reptilian warlord named Vorn, slammed his claw on the table. Impossible. No extinct species destroys 50 capital ships. But even he had seen the footage. Human warships, black, angular, alive with blue light, cutting through their strongest vessels like they were paper. Rebuild the fleet, Vorn growled. Every gun, every ship. If the humans have returned, then we must be ready for war. He paused, his golden eyes narrowing. And this time we strike first. Voices across the galaxy. The message reached everywhere, to miners on cold moons, smugglers in dark trade lanes, and explorers on the edge of mapped space. On the ocean world of Riel 7, slaves once ruled by the hegemony gathered around a small communicator, replaying the human broadcast again and again. A young alien worker whispered, "They came back, they destroyed the ones who enslaved us." Another smiled through tears. Maybe legends do come back, when they're needed most. All across the galaxy, the name human became something new again. Not myth, not rumor, but fear and hope intertwined. Back on Earth. In the underground vaults, the Earth Defense Command was alive again. Engines roared. Ships repaired. Soldiers trained under the flicker of old fluorescent lights. Commander Hale stood on a platform overlooking the hangar. Hundreds of humans worked below, moving like a machine that had never truly stopped. Ares appeared beside him in blue holographic form. Transmission has reached 87% of known space. Multiple factions have acknowledged receipt. Reactions range from disbelief to panic. Hale nodded. Good. Let them wonder. He stared up at the ceiling where faint tremors echoed, the sound of ships launching to patrol orbit. Ares, begin Project Exodus. Confirmed. Unlocking secondary fleet bays. Massive steel doors opened across the underground complex. Behind them, deeper, older, slept more ships, larger than anything currently flying. Ships built in the final days of the old Earth War. Ships made to fight extinction itself. Hale placed his hand on the console. The surface lights reflected in his eyes like twin stars. "We're not hiding anymore," he said softly. "If the galaxy remembers us as monsters, then monsters we will be." Centauri Prime again. In the great library, Kellen sat alone at her desk, still watching the transmission. The sound of Hale's voice, human, steady, filled with quiet fire, replayed endlessly through the air. Humanity has returned. She turned to her assistant, whispering, "Do you think they'll come here?" The assistant hesitated. "If they do, what will we tell them?" Kellen looked at the glowing crystal, remembering its words, "Avoid the Sol system." She closed it gently. "We tell them the truth," she said. "That we forgot them. And that we were wrong." The outer rim. In a small observation station orbiting a dying red star, a lone merchant ship picked up the human broadcast late. The captain, an old alien trader named Jirak, replayed it quietly as he sipped dark tea. He smiled faintly. "So, the ghosts of Earth still breathe." Then he turned to his young co-pilot. "Mark my words. This message, it's not an ending." He looked out at the endless stars. "It's a warning." Final scene. Far above Earth, human ships now patrolled the void like silent guardians. Their lights glowed faint blue against the darkness, forming a single symbol across orbit, the mark of Earth Defense Command. Commander Hale watched from the command deck of the Vigilant Dawn. Behind him, thousands of humans worked in disciplined silence. Ares spoke softly beside him. "Commander, multiple fleets are mobilizing across the Federation sectors. Some moving toward Earth. Others retreating." Hale nodded slowly. "Good. Let them come. Let them see what's left of their myths." He stared out into the stars, calm, unreadable. "We're not the ghosts they remember. We're the reason they'll never sleep again." Narrator, final voiceover. For 3,000 years they were nothing but legend. A story told in dark halls to frighten children. But legends have a way of coming back. And as the galaxy prepared for war, every world whispered the same name. Humans,